Okay, in response to an article that Beau the Fifth was actually responding to yesterday on, a plan that he read off the internet piqued his interest on this one. I don't think much whether or not if he is actually understanding what the hell is going on. But there was an abstract report put out years back within the past decade. And this particular thing, I guess people have an interest in. Colonizing Venus. It's 7:18 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. It is August 4th, 2023. Brisbane, California, the Weaver Agency. Trying to go through his phone apps trying to get some stuff going on. But apparently there's some abstract information concerning about Venus and whether or not it's going to be possible to do so. In fact, there's a published report with a lot of annotated information, even from NASA, who did this report, sponsored it about 20 years ago. How they plan on doing this? What's the economic? What's the feasibility of it? And the impossibility of it? Now, as Beau has been trying to talk about, Venus is a hot planet. And yes, the probes we sent out, both Russian and American, melted before they could actually give out more information than what they could. And scientists have been going on for decades trying to analyze the pictures of just what we're dealing with. Venus in itself has a thick atmosphere, more poisonous gases and sulfuric crystals in there to melt and destroy things left and right. Acid rain is the constant thing on the ground. Constant heating, which bakes the continent left and right. What we never could figure out about the geology and the geography about the planet is because of the damn thick atmosphere. And even if we did have radar systems precise enough and equipped enough to penetrate the clouds, we would have a hard time in having a rover, or let alone just another snapshot of the landscape. If we did, we would have to really engineer the metal and materials to withstand the pressure of the atmosphere, and not to mention the temperature of it. So here it is. How much feasibility are we actually going to be costing about for this one? Say, for example, we actually did want to send it out. Are we going to be sending it out as much as more than what the space shuttle was worth in one particular launch? Or the news telescope we got out there? I'm not talking about the regular satellites we keep putting up and clouding up Earth space at this point over here. But just to get enough information, orbitals are one thing. If we actually did have sensitive enough equipment and powerful enough to penetrate the cloud barrier, we would actually get a good view of the entire landscape if we could, just within about a year or two of orbiting around Venus and getting enough information out of it. Be nuclear powered on the satellite or solar. Be close enough to the sun they could try drawing more and more energy to do so. Of course, we would have to develop the technology to do the radar above. Now, the ground itself, we would definitely have to engineer to protect it to the equivalency of a sun, but to be a lander and have everything else protected in it, including the circuitry and the wiring for it. And if it's going to be landing there in one piece, and if it is, how long is it going to stay there and how long is it going to last? We would need to find out the corrosive atmospheric level and match that, and hope to God we don't destroy the simulation in the first place. We would need to have an insulation material created for this to the point where we could withstand at least the atmosphere of it, let alone how much of the pressure we're squeezing onto it. We would theoretically have to spend millions of dollars of research and years on this one to come to the point of mimicking Venus. Heat, pressure, atmosphere. We still need to have visualization first, and not just getting something on the ground. We need something in the sky orbiting the planet, peering through the dense atmosphere. Intense, probably radar. Intensive radar, if we can get it going through it hard enough and strong enough for that. Think of it as the loudest, strongest sonar blip that would encompass the entire planet of Earth. Drive every planet, every living creature is crazy about that one. But imagine doing that to Venus just to get visualizations of what we're dealing with on the ground itself. Besides trying to get through the atmosphere and the heat and the pressure, you also have to deal with the landscape as well. Whether or not you're going to be crashing, burning the thing, or is it going to be landing somehow. Mars is easy. Oh, almost. We've lost a few. We didn't have that much data. But that's why we keep sending probes, to get more data. We understand about the atmospheric content about Mars. Almost no oxygen, practically. But the pressure is a lot lighter. However, it is subject to Martian dust storms that last for a long time and covered the planet. They start generating, the winds start generating, and then certain atmospheric conditions happen, and all hell breaks loose. So we're lucky enough that sometimes the satellites are actually able to still work. All those probes we keep sending out there, the rovers. So as long as we got a handle on that one. Not as much, but we're still learning on Mars. A lot easier, a little farther away. Venus is closer to the sun, but closer to the Earth. And they do call it the Earth's evil twin, because at one time we suspected, with the lack of information we've gotten from Venus, it could have held water. It would have been nice if we actually had a robotic probe out there that could actually withstand and dig a little deep and see whether or not there was actually evidence of water. We actually did get a camera to do a 360 around it, around the landing site area. Look at the geology. Let us know if the geology was going to tell us that there was actual water at one time. Just by the landscape. Water has a way of creating its own impressions on a planet. And sometimes if there's going to be enough wind on it, it'll blow it away. But if there are sedimentary layers, let's hopefully some of those will last. We'll be able to take a look at it. If we're going to be spending that much money on it to even attempt to do Venus. It'll take a lot more resources to terraform if we can actually get that going. So it's going to be probably about 200 or 300 years from now before we can actually touch down on Venus and have a colony. Because right now we haven't got anything. Oh, they can plan all they want 100 and 200 years from now. When we have the technology capable and in the science and understanding of it, of how to deal with a baked planet. Either terraform it or try to learn how to live on a baked planet. That's a hell of a lot of heat, hell of a lot of pressure. and a lot of acid. Those are the three major components that you had to deal with. Currently, with our level of technology and our level of metallurgy, there's no way we're going to be able to survive that long, or even for a short time, when you have sulfuric acid raining down and it eats away everything, including wiring and metal. It's bad enough you got the heat and pressure. The heat will bake the satellite, or actually the probe, and the atmospheric pressure will just squish it. With that many millibars, no way. With our current level of technology right now as at this time, there's no way in hell we're going to be able to get another one in there. It's going to survive maybe about 2 or 3 seconds if we're lucky enough. Because we're just not there yet. And we need to be if we're going to be doing Venus. We'd prefer doing Mars, but it's a little further away, a lot further away. Venus would have been better. And the other thing we don't know about Venus, like we don't know about Mars just yet, is there any biological components that are still trying to survive on Venus? I'm not talking about animal life. I'm talking about protozoic bacteria. Would they be able to adapt to that level of atmosphere? And where would they get the material necessary to live on? Perhaps underneath the soil, if it's already been baked enough, and maybe there was something underneath the soil. Maybe further down than they suspect. Could have been life. Could have been a thin layer on Venus. If it was volcanic, that would be something to see as well. See, before we actually do sit down on Venus again, we need to penetrate the damn clouds. We need to penetrate it. We need to see what we're looking at here. We need to see what the geologic nature of the planet is. The geographic features of it will tell us. In order to do that, we need to get past the damn clouds. In order to do that, we need to get the most powerful scanner we can build, possibly sonar if necessary, and keep beaming it onto the planet, get all the information necessary, and when we can actually look at the planet and read it from the outside, then maybe we can understand the millibar pressure we're dealing with, how much acidity we're dealing with in the atmosphere, how much heat's being trapped in there in order to deal with and cope with it. Once we have all that information, then it's going to take a lot of research bucks, a lot of material, to get close enough to that level to where we might be able to get a satellite, or actually satellite and probe, to work, even for a short time. It'll give us some information about the damn planet. If not, just leave it alone. We look at the planet because we're thinking Earth is going to be the same way. Maybe in 1,000 years. But for right now, we haven't screwed ourselves up yet, but hopefully not. But if we have, we're dead. We're dead. A little side note here. I got someone's remarks concerning about my video. Thinks I'm sounding too damn depressing these days. Well, maybe I am. Only because I haven't seen light enough these days. Or haven't seen enough hope happen these days. I've seen enough misery right now as it is. I know what it is to constantly struggle day by day. But isn't that life in itself? I may do a video on that one. But for right now, I just wanted to cover Venus in response to Mr. Beau. Coming from the diary of the graver named John Weaver, which is me.